Joker, or the dog, I have another gaming story for you. When you roleplay or run a campaign, there's three things you must be aware of that are pretty hard. One is to make a game based on a comedy, or make a comedy game and keep it, avoid it from getting disjointed. For example, I know some people who have tried to run a game called Fun Hunter, and it's pretty hard without making it go all wild. Second, scaring a player is hard. It's pretty hard scaring somebody with description. You have to be very good at it. And besides, there has to be a certain degree of mood to do that. And third, making a player cry. There's this story about it, okay? A couple of years ago, about 2 or 3 years ago, no, 2 years ago, I was running a campaign of a game called Hunter the Reckoning, part of the World of Darkness line. If you're not familiar with World of Darkness, it's a setting where humans exist and they don't know that there's supernatural shit going on. There's vampires, werewolves, mages, and all that. And the whole main plot of the game is that there's a secret war going on, and that, at least on the old setting, that the end of the world is coming. One of the final signals, sorry, I'm on my pajamas. So one of the final signals of the apocalypse is the apparition of hunters, well, inward. I'm not going to go into much detail, because if you wanna play it, that is that you don't have to know much about the game. That's why I consider it so special for newbie players, because you don't need to know what the Camarilla is, you don't need to know the internal politics of vampires, you don't need to know what the hell is Pentex and what their deal is, you don't need to know what the fuck is the Technocratic Union. You just know you're a human, and one day you're strolling down the street by night and you see a guy sucking the blood out of a person. That's all you need to know. I had 7 players. I had one of each creed, which is nuts. Hunters are divided by creeds, which determine their powers and basically how they operate. For example, I won't go into much detail, but defenders are humans who do whatever they can to protect others. For example, in movies, Sarah Connor. She's a perfect defender, or Kyle Reese. Martyr is the hunter who, in order to protect others, sacrifices himself for the what's the word I'm looking for? The bigger, for the for the rest, for the greater cause. That's what's the word. Sorry, English isn't my first language. I had one of each type of creed. If you are a GM and you run World of Darkness, you might tell me go fuck yourself, but there's a golden rule. If you think it's gonna be fun, just roll with it. My players were Nelson, I mentioned him in Deadlands, JP, or JP, Camila, Diego, Miyu, Maken, and Mauri. Each one of them were as different creeds. So in the game, each one of the players took the role of a creed. So I'm going to sum up them very quickly. Miyu was innocent, Diego was judge, I forgot Michelle. Michelle was visionary, JP was defender, Maken was avenger. That's my favorite one, that's awesome. Camila was redeemer, and Mauri was martyr. Yeah, those were all. So in the game, they were hunting supernatural things in the city of LA. But I decided to go a little bit with the extra mile, and I sum up the apocalypse. So all the games converge in one single moment, which is the end of the world, the apocalypse, the reckoning, the Gehenna, the ascension, the holy shit, we're gonna die. Each game has its own interpretation. Vampires basically are the great old ones. Vampires are going to wake up and they're going to kill every vampire. Werewolves is the worm is coming and we're gonna die. Mages are the universe is about to explode and we have to create a new reality or survive. Changelings was the long winter that's coming. I haven't read much of Changeling. Mummies, who the fuck cares about mummies, really? So, sorry, not my cup of tea. Wraiths, Ghost, it was a nuclear bomb, if I don't remember. And the Oblivion, swallowing all. And in the case of the Hunters, they were in the middle of the storm. So, when the apocalypse was coming, the Redeemer, Camilla, she was very wounded after a fight against a Wraith, a major antagonist known as Carpenter. For those of you who have played the video game of Hunter the Reckoning, that's Carpenter. For those of you who don't know who Carpenter is, basically he was a mobster who got killed by a vampire. And he swore revenge, and once he came back to the world of the living, being a ghost, he started to manipulate the hunters of HunterNet. HunterNet is basically a forum where all hunters around the world got in touch back in the day, in the game. And he started to pull strings and manipulate hunters to do suicide missions for him. So the guy was a major son of a bitch. In my game, they fight against him twice. It's a ghost. It's hard to kill a ghost. Yeah. And the Redeemer ends up very badly wounded. The hunters realize that not all supernaturals are evil. They have an ally that's a vampire. Travis, the Irish vampire, the sixth member of the Sex Pistols. There wasn't a sixth member. He was, but he partied too hard and they kicked him out. And then he became a vampire. He was a stupid, bloody idiot and he liked to curse a lot. I fucking love that character. The guy helps them. So they're at the hospital and they met one of the supernaturals that moves in the area. That was one of my characters that I used to play when I played Werewolf. When I played Werewolf, I had two signature characters. Sorry, two. One was Iron Wolf, a glass walker, basically a werewolf who was very into computers, and this guy was nuts. He was a fucking sociopath. And the second was Joe Torinart, the Nuisha. The Nuishas on the werewolf mythology were coyotes. They're tricksters. So Joe was around town and he was helping the group because if the vampires died in the city, that meant one less threat for the werewolves. And the werewolves are good? Thing is, he finds the group in a hospital and the character basically ends up fucking the living crap out of one of the hunters, of the Redeemer, of Kamala's character. And after that, they start to have a sort of relationship. Then I run the apocalypse scenario, where everything changes. Thanks to one of the GMs, I don't know much about the werewolf lore, but I'm aware that I believe that the witches have to die in order for werewolves to fight the worm. And I like to do a little crossover here and there. So it's the end of the world, it's raining fire, their only contact, which is another supernatural who helped them once in a while, was a demon known as Crowley, had been missing. The dead were rising up. The world was basically The Walking Dead, but much worse. Raining fire, demons everywhere, supernatural going AWOL, the military disappeared, nuclear bombs going off at a distance, you know. So the hunters now had survived, all 6 of them. There were 7, one of them died, saving the rest from a monster, a were cockroach, long story. And at the end of the campaign, all the characters started to die. The Redeemer, the Hunter, I know you will, all the GMs will say, yes, but this isn't possible, this isn't compatible. Go fuck yourself. The Hunter, basically, the Redeemer, she basically got pregnant. She got 2 kids with the Wercoyote. They were fully human as long as they knew. And they knew that the werewolves were losing. So, at the end of the campaign, of that little moment, of that episode, yeah, I like to call episodes to each game, and a season to an entire campaign, they knew that the werewolves needed help. So 2 werewolves, old player characters from the days I play werewolf, reached out to the group. The Wercoyote was helping the hunters to track food and all that for the survivors. So they tell the Redeemer that they have 1 shot to get to the worm, and if the werewolves defeat the worm, humanity will have a chance to survive. The hunters go, okay, we'll go to help you in the battle. No, because it's in another dimension. You cannot go there. It's only for the spiritual beings and mamba jamba bullshit. And the hunter goes, okay, what do I need to do? The werewolf look at her and they say, you have to kill your husband, the Wercoyote. We need his carcass to make a bridge to Malphas. Malphas is the cancer planet, basically. It's a world in a dimension where the worm lies, which is bad. So she goes. The player looks at me in shock, like, and I declare how the other hunters know that this guy has to die, and the Redeemer inside the party of hunters is the hunter who looks for the humanity within the monster. And her husband was, even if he was a shapeshifter, he was incredibly human. So she has to end him. They go to the roof of the building where she and all the survivors were. All the other humans who lived there fucking discriminated her because she was with one of those things who brought the apocalypse. And she looks at her, she kisses her, after she explained the situation. He falls on his knees and he hands her a handgun. The player goes, I can't do it. Sorry, I'm smiling, but the moment, all the players were in shock. This was her moment. And she goes, I can't do it. She looks at me, I roleplaying as Joe Torian, saying, you have to. 4 kids. And she declares, I pull the trigger. I state before she pulls the trigger that he says, I love you. She says, I love you too. Bang. Dead silence. The werewolf's gone. They don't say anything. They take his carcass. She hugs him. And as soon as they're leaving, one of the werewolves turns around and says, there's a problem. And she goes, no, please, tell me no, please. I swear to God, no. There is 2 other Wercoyotes. And she goes, I won't do it. The player starts crying. And the other werewolves go downstairs to the basement where she lived. No, it wasn't the basement, never mind. And the player gets in shock. She doesn't know what to do. Either the character. And then she hears 2 bangs. The Redeemer never said goodbye to her family. The player starts crying. And then she throws a metal dice to my head because she hates me now. Next day, I had to finish the game. Every hunter dies. The most epic one was the Defender, who made a fucking shield around the city of Los Angeles to avoid a fucking nuclear attack. The character absorbed all the radiation. At the end of the game, only one hunter survives, and basically she finds God. And she tells God, go fuck yourself, I'm here to kill you. God now accepts, because now God is a monster and monsters are meant to be killed by humans. And the player, before God gets killed, he says, I want you to give me a little moment of faith. Trust me. The player trusts God and shoots him in the head. Then I describe her character getting in a taxi. Well, I put the Inception music in the background, the one of the ending. And she sees through the door, and she sees Carpenter, but being a human. She sees the judge of the group, being a musical producer. She sees every single one of the characters they saw as a human. She gets to her apartment. She opens the door. The player has teary eyes, and I say there's nothing in the apartment. The player looks at me. She says, I fall over my knees. She looks at me, and then I describe how a man arrives home followed by 2 kids. The player declares, I hugged them, and I never let go of them. And I stated that in the end, she won her happy ending. As if they saved mankind. She cried again, and then she beat the living shit out of me because I made her cry. So, I think the lesson is, every player, for as rough as they seem, have a weak spot. I know it sounds cold, but you know you're doing a good job when you can make a player and a character feel emotion. When you make him feel something alive. When you make him worry about the character. If you make him go through the hell, and you see it on your player's eyes, and you see him suffering for each role, you're doing a brilliant job, my good friend. So that's my a little bit long story for what I can tell from the screen about how the Redeemer with a family saved the world and how I made a player cry. Thanks.